And now finally let us try to sum up our fourth lecture, which was dedicated to the problem of synonymy. We said that synonyms are different words with almost identical or similar meanings. Words that are synonyms are said to be synonymous, and the state of being a synonym is called synonymy. And we stressed the dual nature of synonyms, and we said that sometimes synonyms even oppose each other. Synonyms are one of the language's most important expressive means. The examples we have discussed convincingly demonstrate that the principal function of synonyms is to represent the same phenomena in different aspects, shades and variations. The most controversial problem among the theoretical problems associated with synonymy is a problem of criteria of synonymy. According to conceptual criterion, synonyms are words of the same category of parts of speech conveying the same concept, but different either in shades of meaning or in stylistic characteristics. In contemporary research on synonymy, semantic criterion is frequently used. In terms of componential analysis, synonyms may be defined as words with the same denotation or the same denotative component, but differing in connotations or in connotative components. In modern research of synonyms, the criterion of interchangeability is sometimes applied. According to this criterion, synonyms are defined as words which are interchangeable at least in some contexts, without any considerable alteration in denotational meaning. This criterion has been much criticized. Every or almost every attempt to apply it to this or that group of synonyms seems to lead us to the inevitable conclusion that either there are very few synonyms or they are not interchangeable. Then we discussed different types of connotations. The connotation of degree of intensity. The connotation of degree of intensity can be traced in such groups of synonyms as to surprise, to astonish, to amaze, to astound, to satisfy, to please, to content, to gratify, to delight, to exalt, and many others which we have discussed. The connotation of duration. In the group of synonyms, to stare, to glare, to gaze, to glance, to peep, to peer, all the synonyms except to glance denote a lasting act of looking at somebody or something, whereas to glance describes a brief, passing look. These synonyms may be said to have a connotation of duration in their semantic structure. Emotive connotation. The synonyms to stare, to glare, to gaze are differentiated from the other words of the group by emotive connotations, and from each other by the nature of the emotion they imply. The evaluative connotation. The evaluative connotation conveys the speaker's attitude towards the referent, labeling it as good or bad. In the group well-known, famous, notorious, celebrated, the adjective notorious bears a negative evaluative connotation, and celebrated a positive one. So we usually say a notorious murderer, a notorious robber, a notorious swindler, a notorious coward, a notorious lady killer, a notorious flirt, but a celebrated scholar, a celebrated artist, celebrated singer. Causative connotation. The causative connotation can be illustrated by the examples of to sparkle and to glitter. So one's eyes sparkle with positive emotions and glitter with negative emotions. The connotation of manner. The connotation of manner can be singled out in some groups of verbal synonyms. The verbs to stroll, to stride, to trot, to pace, to swagger, to stagger, to stumble, all denote ways and types of walking, encoding in their semantic structures the lengths of pace, tempo, and gait, purposefulness or lack of purpose. The connotation of attending circumstances. So one peeps at somebody or something through a hole, crack, or opening, from behind the screen, a half-closed door, a curtain, etc. It seems as if a whole set of scenery were built within the word's meaning. Of course, it is not quite so, because a set of scenery is actually built in the context. But as with all regular contexts, it is intimately reflected in the word's semantic structure. We shall call this the connotation of attending circumstances. The connotation of attendant features. The synonyms pretty, handsome, beautiful are more or less interchangeable, yet each of them describes a special type of human beauty. Beautiful is mostly associated with classical features and a perfect figure. Handsome with a tall stature, a certain robustness and fine proportions. Pretty with small delicate features and a fresh complexion. This connotation may be defined as a connotation of attendant feature. And finally, stylistic connotations. Stylistic connotations stand somewhat apart from two reasons. Firstly, some scholars do not regard the word's stylistic characteristic as a connotative component of its semantic structure. Secondly, stylistic connotations are subject to further classification, namely colloquial, slang, dialect, learned, poetic, terminological, archaic. Here we're dealing with stylistically marked words, for example, girl and lassie.